And a 27-year-old Melbourne woman has become the first innocent victim killed at the hands of the city's escalating tobacco wars. Let's go live to Tegan Dolling. So, Tegan, it's been confirmed Katie Tangi has been killed in a botched firebombing on the wrong address.
Yeah, Chev, and this is exactly what the police were warning us, weren't they? That there was going to be an innocent person caught up in the tobacco wars here in Melbourne. Detectives are now working with Task Force Luna. They're the investigators who have been looking at the more than 100 tobacco store fires here in Melbourne. And you might remember Katie was actually house sitting. It was her brother's house and he was away on his honeymoon. Now, this all occurred back on the 16th of January. That was a Thursday. Police have put out new CCTV this morning that shows two men getting out of a car at around 2 a.m. One of them was carrying a jerry can. It looks like they've poured an accelerant around that property and then they've jumped back in the car. There was an explosion. Police are trying to identify the car. They think that it was a dark SUV, potentially a BMW X3. Now, they have been able to gather evidence since this tragedy. They have been able to confirm that it is 100% linked to the tobacco wars and unfortunately, sadly, tragically for Katie, that she was simply at the wrong place at the wrong time, Shervo. This was a targeted attack, but it was also on the wrong address.
This has been the greatest fear, hasn't it? And hopefully it won't happen again. Thank you, Tegan. Here's Nat.
Thanks, Shervo. Households across this country are hoping for much needed relief from the rising cost of living today, with the RBA widely tipped to hand down its first rate cut in 4 years. Live to Georgia Holland, who's in Canberra. Georgia, the governor is facing huge pressure from all sides.
Nat, the challenge for Michelle Bullock and the board is to rise above all that political noise. The federal government is pinning its election hopes on the RBA, delivering good news today, and could even prompt the Prime Minister to call an election sooner. Most economists and the major banks are predicting the official interest rate will be cut from 4.35% to 4.1%. Now, if that does happen, a homeowner with a $750,000 loan would save around $115 a month. That is assuming the banks pass on that rate cut in full. A cut, of course, would be welcome news for mortgage holders, but there is also concern easing rates too soon could reignite inflation and drive up property prices. Whatever the decision today, Nat, it will have economic and political implications.
OK, thank you, Georgia.
Let's get some more news now. Morning, Eddie.
Oh, morning, Trevor. Morning, everyone. Australia's Rugby League boss Peter V'landys has invited US President Donald Trump to the NRL season-launching showcase in Las Vegas. Let's go live to Liam Tapper at NRL HQ in Sydney. Liam, this is pretty audacious and ambitious. Is it actually going to happen?
Well, Eddie, if there's one man in Australia who could pull this off, it has to be Peter V'landys. He's friends with the late Queen. He's even held court with Joe Biden, the former president of the US, at a state dinner last year. So why not go to Donald Trump? Why not invite the leader of the free world to the greatest game in the free world? Donald Trump, he's been no stranger to sporting events recently. He was the first sitting president to go to the Super Bowl last week. He also went to the iconic Daytona 500. He even squeezed in a hot lap there, one of the most iconic races around the world. But it was on breakfast television in America that PVL made his pitch to Donald Trump.
Good morning, Mr. President. I know you watch Fox and Friends, which is a great program, extremely fair and balanced. Hope to see you at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on Saturday, March 1. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Fox and Friends.
Now, unreal. He does look like he's not his exuberant self there, PVL.
Yeah.
However, the message has gone straight to the top. And he did say that he was watching Fox and Friends, a great show in America, but I'm sure that Donald might be watching this morning. We've got a jersey for you, Donald. We've got a team for you. We're not too sure. This might go well with the red on your MAGA. Put a little splash of green on there, little bunny somewhere. Come and enjoy rugby league.
Yeah, I love that Peter V'landys really lashed out on the quality of that video too. I love this story. Thank you so much for that, Liam. In other news this morning, an accused thief is set to face court after a shocking raid on a heroic great-grandmother's home in Brisbane's southeast. Live to Georgia Chumley in Brisbane. Georgia, this has touched so many people in the city, this story. This gutsy lady determined to be reunited with her late husband's precious memories.
Good morning, Eddie. That's right. Yopi DeLauren is still looking for her treasured possessions after police arrested and charged 44-year-old Lamaki Anthony. Pitti faced court yesterday on a string of different offences. Police allege that it is him fleeing from Yopi DeLauren's front porch, the 91-year-old great-grandmother, after she chased him out of her house. Now, she is still looking for those treasured belongings. He got away with an engagement ring as well as an eternity ring that her late husband of 65 years, Bart, gifted her.
I'm so glad. The police has been marvellous, and I'm so glad that they got him. I feel all shook up and all nervous again because, you know, I was just starting to get a bit settled.
Now, Pitter's been charged with 13 different offences, including burglary, received tainted property, as well as fraud. Now, police have managed to recover a couple of items, including a purse as well as a plaque, but they are still looking for those precious rings, Eddie.
Thank you so much, Audrey. We hope they find them. News just in, and Sydney's rail network is running close to the scheduled timetable this morning. It is still only 5:30, but we're keeping an eye on it. Doesn't look like there are any strikes or cancellations at this stage after yesterday's chaos across the city. The rail union had refused to rule out whether there will be more industrial action today after 300 workers chucked a sickie as part of their pay war with the state government yesterday morning. European leaders have gathered in Paris for crisis talks on the war in Ukraine as looming talks between the US and Russia leave them out in the cold. Live to Joel Dry in London. Joel, Donald Trump's policy shift has really left Europe scrambling here.
That's right, Eddie. European leaders said to be reeling at news they'd been frozen out of talks between the US and Russia, allegedly aimed at trying to find a way to end the war in Ukraine. Ukraine haven't been invited, nor have European leaders. So Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, called this emergency summit in Paris. And we can see there some of the leaders arriving, among them the Prime Minister of the UK, Spain's leader, Germany's leader. A lot of people there to try to find a way to re-inject themselves in this process. It's very much a fast-moving political situation, evidenced by the fact that today the UK Prime Minister announced he was ready and willing to put British troops on the ground in Ukraine in some sort of peacekeeping format.
We're facing a generational challenge when it comes to national security, that this isn't just about the front line in Ukraine, it's the front line of Europe and of the United Kingdom. It's about our national security. And I think that we need to do more. We need to step up.
Those talks in Paris are still ongoing tonight. The talks between the US and Russia are scheduled to take place tomorrow local time in Saudi Arabia. Ukraine, as I said, not invited to that. And their president, Volodymyr Zelensky, says any peace deal about Ukraine that doesn't involve Ukraine is not worth the paper it's written on.
Thank you, Joel. To some breaking news, in Melbourne, police are hunting a violent thug who drove into a Dandenong cafe before setting the business on fire this morning. The shop on the Princes Highway was destroyed in the blaze. The attackers are right now at large, and police are really keen to speak with anyone in the area at the time who might have CCTV or perhaps some dash cam video. Melbourne war veterans are furious after it was revealed the last post would stop being played at the Shrine of Remembrance in the weekly ceremonies. Let's go live to Andrew McCormack. Andrew, what's going on there? Budget cuts, apparently.
Eddie, for 90 years, the Sunday Bugler has been a real tradition here at the Shrine of Remembrance, ringing out to honour our Anzacs, both past and present, but it could be gone as of Anzac Day this year. Now, it's fulfilled by Victoria Police as part of their Shrine Guard detail, and Victoria Police say they can no longer fulfil this commitment due to budget cuts. It costs around $75,000 a year to fulfil this commitment, but it could be gone by Anzac Day.
It's disgraceful to hear. You can't put a value on it. It means so much, not only to the veteran community, but also to the families of those who have made the ultimate sacrifice.
So you can hear there just how much it means, this symbolic tradition. But as I said, it could be gone just in a matter of weeks. Jacinta Allen, the Premier, says she's aware of this and going to try and follow it up. The Victoria Police know have got their own issues given the departure of Shane Patton at the top. So this one really has rolled up a lot of our veterans, and rightly so. It should be something we should be trying to keep, Eddie.